What's up, YouTube? So in the past you've known me as a camera reviewer and wildlife photographer who traveled around and took pictures and brought those stories back to you. But over the past year my life has changed pretty substantially. During the pandemic I was working for myself. I was a full-time photographer and I owned a marketing company. But over the last year I actually started working for a normal corporation. Yeah, I joined the working world again. And that meant that my time for photography has changed, and also that some new things have happened. As you can see behind me, the pictures have been replaced with guitars, and the office that I spent every hour for my employment has been sort of changed into a music room and a photography studio and my editing suite. And I wanted to give the channel update. Give this an update to talk a little bit about where I want the channel to go in the future. So right here before me I have kind of a large exciting box. The Amazon guy came today, and besides my wife and child, he might be my very favorite person. That all being said, the channel is going to change gear a little bit, and we're going to talk more about technology, about music, and of course about photography. So much bigger scope to the channel. Still going to offer all the awesome photography tips, tricks, tutorials, some great stories that are coming up. Coming up on my 1-year anniversary, which means I get vacation, and once that happens I'm off into the wilderness to go tell some stories. But beyond that, in my spare time at home, I've sort of become a guitarist, which is interesting because I played drums when I was a kid in some rock bands, and I've always sort of tinkered on the guitar, but never took it really seriously until about a year ago. And so now I have what I think is kind of a burgeoning collection, including what's in this box right here, which we'll get to in just a minute. But beyond that, I think that there's just a bigger opportunity to talk about things that, quite frankly, I'm interested in. Things like earphones, things like speakers, guitar amplifiers, and lots of other awesome technology that kind of drive the wheels of society today and also kind of make me think a lot. So that's the update, but let's get to the unboxing. So I figure since you've already seen my face, you'd be more interested in seeing what's actually happening in the box. I know I've seen some unboxing videos where people use like crazy swords or samurai whatevers, but I'm just using a knife because that's what I actually use when I unbox things. I don't use a sword, which I don't know, it's kind of weird, to be honest. It's actually interesting that the channel's sort of rebooting this way, because my very last video before starting my current job was an unboxing video of my EOS R5, which I still own and love. But this, leave it to Amazon to give you the largest box possible for like the smallest item. I gotta love that about them, isn't it? They don't really waste time worrying about paper. All right, now that that's gone, you can kind of see, and I'll turn this around so you can kind of see what it is. This is a Latitude. So this is a Latitude guitar, and I thought it would be appropriate, since this is sort of a reboot of a channel, to start with something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is ergonomics. So as all of you know, I have back problems, and while I have made some exceptions in my photography gear because of quality, I have been on the search for some more ergonomic guitars. If anybody plays guitar, you know that Les Pauls are like 10 pounds, Stratocasters are like 7 pounds, but these are headless guitars, so let's get this sucker opened, and headless guitars can be like 4.5 pounds. So let us just see what this sucker is all about. I can't say anything bad about the packing so far. It has been pretty exemplary. Of course, what that actually equates to in terms of guitar playability, we'll see. But at least in terms of keeping the items safe, it looks like they did a decent job. All right. one of the things that I was really excited to see is it comes with a really pretty nice gig bag. All right, so I'm gonna hop away, throw this box away, put my knife down. I'll be right back. All right. Are we ready? Moment of truth. And that's a disappointment. It's actually, it's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be wrapped, but you kind of want that, you know, moment. But no, I like this so far. Gig bag feels nice and padded. Guitar feels pretty lightweight. There's sort of the requisite foam packing material. Oh my goodness. Look at that. That is pretty. Let's see, it says Latitude there. And right here, now obviously that is, if you're a guitarist, know that Strandberg is probably the most famous headless guitar on the market right now. And obviously having the name there is kind of a Strandberg thing. But this guitar has some really neat features, so we will get to that in a few minutes. But let me tune it up and see where we are. All right, through the magic of video, the guitar is out and a strap is on, and it is remarkably well balanced. You can feel with the lack of a headstock that there's no like propensity for neck dive. I got a big old fat belly and it just sits real natural. There's a comfort carve right here, so your arm sits nice. One thing I realized I hadn't thought through is I use a headstock tuner and there's no headstock, so I'm not really sure how exactly I'm going to tune this effectively when I'm playing on. I have a tuner on my amp I'll use to tune this up now, but I'm just going to go ahead and peel the plastic off of the pickups because who needs it? Ooh, that's nice. Now, this guitar is right around $400. In fact, it was on sale a little bit on Amazon, so I'm not expecting miracles. But I gotta say, you know, the fretwork seems really good. The action seems really good. And I haven't done any work to this. This is literally just out of the box. But just kind of a first blush, like all the electronics, the knobs, the switches, they all seem to be decent. You know, I've played some budget guitars. That's a Squier over there, and while I've done some work on it, it's still not very expensive guitar. In fact, it cost about the same as this. And this is a really interesting design. This is sort of an open grain. They didn't really sand it super smooth. I kind of like that. It's a little more natural feeling. And then this is a roasted maple neck, which is awesome. And you can see it's got heartwood stripes. And now there's like a little bit of like stuff in the heartwood. So it's not perfect. But this isn't a $1,400 or $1,500 guitar, so I wouldn't expect it to be. One of the things that I think is really interesting about these guitars, and there's a few other brands of headless guitars on YouTube that are out there, but this actually has a 0 fret. And what that means is I can get the action really, really low. In fact, one of the reviews I saw already out on YouTube is that this might be the lowest action that person had ever played. And while I don't say it's the lowest action, just yet, I haven't done any setup, and just out of the box, I'd say it's probably 1.5 millimeters, which is pretty good. You know, there's a little bit of neck relief. It feels really nice. So I'm gonna plug it in, tune it up, and we'll figure out how to tune it up and plug it in, and then I will be right back. Okay, so through the magic of technology, the guitar is now in tune. One of the funny things that I always get a kick out of when I watch these YouTube channels, and this is not aimed at anyone in particular, but they'll play a $200 guitar through a $3,000 amp and then say, yeah, it sounds pretty good. Well, no kidding. But the reality is that most people might be able to afford a $200 guitar, but they're not gonna then buy a $3,000 amp or a $2,000 amp or even a $1,000 amp. The reality for me is that other than my single Fender that is rather expensive, it's American made, I don't own expensive guitars or expensive amps, and I mostly play through bias effects into my computer or I use a Spark when I'm practicing, or my birthday present to myself was a Boss Next Tone, which I think dollar for dollar might be the best headroom clean amp slash easy to get distorted sounds out of, but not a multi-effects digital modeling amp on the market. It's right around $500, which to me for a 40 watt tube-ish amp is a pretty good price. It is scorchingly loud, loud enough to gig with for sure. I mean, unless you're playing arenas, and at that point, you wouldn't be listening to me. I am not going to tell you what I think about this guitar until I've played it for about a week. So stay tuned for the second half of this video where I actually give the proper review. But out of the box, fret ends, I wouldn't say they're the best I've ever felt, but for $400, they're the best I've ever felt. And they're stainless steel, bull-nosed, edged, I mean, beautiful. I'd say it's actually more that the fretboard itself isn't rolled than it is that the fret ends are sharp. It's just that it probably could have used like 1 or 2 smooth passes with the CNC machine or with a person with a piece of sandpaper to kind of roll the edges a little bit, soften up the transition. But that all being said, stainless steel frets on a $400 guitar, unbelievable. This is, of course, dual humbuckers, headless with this really interesting bridge. It comes with this tiny little magnetically held in place tuner wrench thing. It clicks right into place inside the bridge. And that's actually how you tighten the locking screws here, which in turn changes the pitch of the string. So I've never had a headless guitar. This is all news to me, but really cool. I really so far have been very impressed with the packaging. It is way weird coming from a regular guitar to feel like the guitar ends right here. It just sits differently than a regular guitar, but that being said, it's also pretty lightweight. I'll get the actual weight, put it in the description below. But in this case, of course, all guitars weigh a little differently. Unfortunately, Amazon doesn't tell you how much this one particular model weighs, but I will weigh it and give you the specs in the description. Overall, I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. Will this be a guitar that I gig with? We'll see. Guitar I hold on to or even record with, we'll see. I need to play it for a little while to find out. But that all being said, this has been Jason Girallo, no longer Jason Girallo Photography, and I am so glad that I finally got my feet underneath me and figured out how I want to take this channel going forward. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up, like, share, comment down below. It's really hard to produce a lot of videos and never hear anybody saying nice job or giving me critical feedback or telling me to go stick it. So any feedback is better than none. I would love to build a great community here where we can talk about gear, not just guitars, but everything, because I think it's all connected. Most people like lots of different things, and to say I'm only going to talk about one feels a little limiting to me, and hopefully that means I'll serve you all better. So with that, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in for the very first video in the new direction of my channel. Peace out.